Hi everyone. This lecture is going to cover one of the most advanced topics in Google Sheets, but also one of the most powerful. Very few Google Sheets users use them because, unlike Excel, where a lot of people might still be power users, in Google Sheets it's mostly used for very simple operations. But we do have some excellent capabilities available. When I go to Tools, we have what is called macros. Macros is very similar to how you run a macro and record a macro in Excel. The only difference is that here it happens using a different scripting language. For example, if I have some values here, I have name, I have Havish, Anmol, and Talha, and we have the sales values 10, 30, and 50. I can go to tools and then select macros and record macro. Now it asks me whether I want absolute or relative references. I will not get into too much detail, but then absolute references means that the operation will happen on the same cell. Relative means that the operation will happen on the selected cell, right? Okay, so we want to select B2. We will select absolute, which is what I expect you to do most of the time, and then click on save. Now, this is how you save a macro, but we did not perform any operations. So let me discard it and do it once again. Tools, macros, and I will record a macro. And notice what I do. I will select these cells, make it bold, align everything in the center. I also want to select the first two and change the color to something different. At the end, I want to write sum of C3, C5. Make this bold. We want to align it in the center. We also want to put a border around it and change the color to green. Now, once we have done this operation, we can click on save. I'll call it test macro. If you want to put a shortcut, you can do that, but we are not going to do that right now. We'll click on save. And as you can see, I can also edit the script now. Okay, it says that it was unable to open the file at this time. Okay, that's strange. Nevertheless, now when I go back to tools and macros, you can see that I already have a test macro here, which is the macro that we want. Now see, when I click on the cell and I go to tools, macros and test macro, okay, it says the script needs my permission. Let me click on continue. And what we also want to do is to select it and just click on allow. Perfect. Now watch this. I'm selecting the data and putting it here, and I want to put it on the same columns, right? So we delete everything, delete, go back to tools, macros, and select the test macro, and you notice it runs the script, and in one click, it performs all the actions that we had recorded the first time. It's a huge time saver, especially when you have to do repetitive tasks. Let's go back to the manage macros. We have the test macro here. We can also either delete it, we can also edit it. Now the editing is still not working. I'm not really sure why, but that's okay. In any case, I'm going to show you the interface slightly differently. Now, in addition to macros, we also have the script editor. All right. So we go to macros and we select we click on script editor, and this will open a completely new interface. Okay, hold on. So it says that it is not able to open the file at this time, and it says that it's not working. Let me just see if there's something I'm missing out on. All right, so Google script editor not available, and I have a suspicion that it might only be available to business users. So let's quickly check that. All right. You know what? let me try to show this to you with my other Gmail account, and let's see if it works now. So I'm working on a different Gmail account, and we have tools and we have the script editor. All right, it seems to be working now. Like I said, I will have to double check whether you have it or not, because you need to have a business account for this. Some of you might, some of you won't. But make a Google search and just try to figure it out if you're not able to find it. I don't have a ready answer. Let's see what we have here. Now, what we have in this is essentially an interface where we can put our JavaScript codes, right? So this is the editor that we have. And on the left, you can see there are triggers, execution. There are some project settings as well, all right? And we have a script ID here. And obviously, this is a part of the GCP, the Google Cloud Platform. This is meant for very advanced users and operations, all right? Okay. Now, to understand how this works, let me open a new window and just type Google Script Editor to show you what it is. As you can see, the Google App Script is essentially what will allow you to create add-ons, which are additional capabilities on Google programs like Sheets, Docs, Slides, and Forms. And the purpose is to automate workflow and integrate with external APIs. So remember, recording macros is very simple. It only allows you to record it using the actions that you're performing. But if you want to do more advanced operations, then this is what you require. And it all works on a JavaScript platform. You can go to this website to have a look at this, developers.google.com. Now let me go to custom functions, and let me try to find something much simpler to start with. Okay, this seems good. You can follow the path, developers.google.com, app script, guides, sheets, functions. Now, as you can see here, we have many functions available. There are hundreds of them in Google Sheets, but what if you want to create your own? For example, we have a simple function here called double. I'll copy this. We come back to our window, delete everything and paste it here. Even if you do not come from a programming background, I'm sure this makes sense. We are creating a new function called double, which will accept a single input and it will return the result, which is the input multiplied by 2. We have to save it. Let's also call it my uh, demo project, and we will save it. All right. Once it is saved, we can go back to Google Sheets. And once I've written a number, I can simply write equal to double. And you can see that it loads it and it gives you the result as well. It's taking a little bit of time, which is strange. Hold on. So let me try double once again. Okay, as you can see, working perfectly. How cool is that? Now, it says it's an unknown function because remember, it's not a part of Google Sheets, but it's something that we created here. Now, if you go forward in this article, you will see that the entire documentation has been given, and we will not really get into details here, but you can also put it on the Google Workspace Marketplace so that your own organization or anybody on the internet can also use them. Then you also have options to accept arguments, like here I'm accepting not just a cell, but a range of values. All right. Now, in terms of AppScript services, you can see that we have many different services here. Again, for most of you who are non-IT guys, this might be too much information and you might not need to work on it. But this is just to show you that all these possibilities are available. Let's look at this one. All right, this is a slightly more detailed function. So I'm going to copy this and then come back and paste it here. All this in green is obviously the comment. Now what we are doing here is to return not just a value but an array. And this means that my array is going to be an input mapping. It's easier for me to show it to you rather than explain it like this. I'll come back. I'll put in some values here. So if you look at the example, we need some values like this, all right? Our function here is called double. So let me put in some numbers. I keep some different numbers. So ran between 100 and 200, and just hold on. Okay, what just happened? Okay, ran between 100 and 200. That seems nice. And now you notice that I can write double. I can select my entire range of values, which is the array, and you notice that it recreates it for me. Usually it doesn't work like that. Usually if you write this, it gives a value error because it doesn't make any sense to select a range of values. But we have made it possible to do that. Does that mean that I can combine it with a new function such as the sum function? Absolutely. Why not? So your creativity and your imagination is up to you. It's up to you to think of all the crazy things that you can do. For example, if you look at this one, this is a slightly more detailed one, which is also running an XML service. So it's taking data from a URL. Let me come back and put it here. You can see that the function name is called get blog post. Let me first show you what it does, and then we will try to deconstruct the code. I simply have to write equal to get blog posts, right? And you can see that it automatically gives you entries from my feed like this. How cool is that? But where is this information coming from? You will see that this is the URL that I have. Now, obviously, you can either put a new URL or you can even make it dynamic if you want to, right? And the rest of it is obviously you're fetching the data, you're looking at a service, right? Uh, and then this is an increment that you're doing. So I++, which means that values will govern new rows every time. Now, while I understand that for a lot of you, you might not be JavaScript users and you might be wondering, but Habish, how are we going to learn all these things? You don't necessarily need to learn it. You can just look at ready-made examples available on the internet and maybe get the help of a different team that will help you with this. The goal is not to become programmers and coders, right? The goal is to simply understand what it is, how it can help your work. And if you feel it helps you, then make it a part of your repertoire of skills in Google Sheets. Let's go and look at a few other things. So we have menu, dialogues, and sidebars. And we have something called custom menu. And what we're trying to do here is to create a new menu here, what we call tabs on Excel. We call them menus here. And to do this, we have a function called onOpen. I'll just copy the entire thing. We will come back and now I want to create a new code, right? We don't want to remove the first one. So let's click on the plus button. We want to add a script. I'll call this new menu and we will paste the code here. Save it, right? And let's also run it. It might ask you for some permissions, so make sure to do that. So it says the execution is started and completed. And now when I come back here, you will notice that the custom menu has been added. How cool is that? Obviously, right now the click doesn't do anything. It just says you clicked on the button. But then you can add other scripts that you have created, like the double, and put it inside the custom menu. Of course, this takes a lot more time. But then when you're working as an organization, it's very handy to have your own set of tools which you have created inside a custom menu. So you can see that there are many other things here. I'll just quickly take you through everything. So in the development environment, it gives you a broad background as to what is it, how do you open it, how it works. Of course, there are manifests, right? So the manifest here would be a special JavaScript object notation file that contains all this information. All right. Then we also have TypeScript. TypeScript is a language which is a superset of JavaScript, and it is created and maintained by Microsoft. In fact, Excel now works on TypeScript as well. And then, of course, a lot of documentation is given. We have some built-in Google services that you can access. Of course, you can interface with other Google services and programs as well. And then in user interfaces, in menus, I showed you one type, but there are many other things like you have dialogues, sidebars, right? And the good thing is that Google has given you a documentation for everything. So even for HTML and iframes, you have examples that have been given to you. And Google Sheets is used by a lot of people. So if you're looking at examples and you say Google script editor examples, you will find a lot on the internet. So Ben Collins is one of the leading Google Sheets users in the world. And on his blog, you will find many such advanced examples that have been given in much more detail. So that's what I wanted to show you. One was macros, the other is how do you run JavaScript here. The purpose is to automate, customize, create your own add-ins and such. We also have add-ons that either we can create or we can get it from the internet. So when I click on get add-ons, you see that we have different add-ons available and they are meant for different things. These are created by developers, some are created by organizations. For example, Google Analytics obviously is created by Google, and we have something for flat icon. It is, as you can see, working with different Google platforms. So we have everything from slides to forms to sheets to documents. I'll click on it and I want to do a individual install. Okay, let's see. So next and done. And in my add-ons, you can see that the icons for slides and docs has been added. When I start it, a pane will open on the right side. And here you can simply search for any icon that you want. So let us say I want something related to analytics. I can see all the icons. There are a lot of free icons as well. Just select any one that you want. And then you can select the size as well. And you can insert it. So this process is much faster, isn't it? Compared to opening the website, downloading it, saving it somewhere, and then coming back and putting it here. Right? Of course, there are many other add-ons available. I'm sorry, let me do that once again. So there are many add-ons available for a variety of needs. So make sure to go and have a look at all of that. I'm sure you will find something that you like.